The two sons of Tarek beat down on the dusty landscape. June wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked out at the red desert from the window of the medical bay. Outpost 37 was not a place many humans wanted to be. It was hot, remote, and far from the comforts of Earth. But June had his reasons for coming here. As the outpost's head medical researcher, his days were often the same. He would treat minor cuts and burns from the mining crew, study local plants for medicine, and write reports that were sent back to Earth. 3 years had passed since he first arrived. He still had 2 more to go before his contract ended. "Dr. June, your help is needed in Lab 3, said a voice over the speaker system. June grabbed his medical kit and walked down the long metal hallway. The walls of the outpost were thick to keep out the heat. Even so, he could feel the warmth seeping through. "What's wrong?" he asked as he entered Lab 3. 2 researchers looked up from their work. "Nothing urgent," said Tay, a young engineer with round glasses. "Just need you to check this skin sample from that new plant we found yesterday. Han touched it and now has a rash." This was the kind of problem June dealt with every day. Simple, expected, nothing that truly tested his skills or the knowledge he had gained from years of study. As he examined Han's arm, a loud alarm began to sound throughout the outpost. "What's happening?" Han asked, looking around with wide eyes. The voice on the speaker answered, "All personnel report to emergency stations. Unknown spacecraft entering atmosphere near the outpost. Impact likely. This is not a drill." June's heart began to race. In 3 years, they had never had an unplanned ship arrival, let alone a crash. He rushed to his emergency station at the medical bay, preparing beds and pulling out extra supplies. The impact came 5 minutes later. The ground shook so hard that bottles fell from shelves and equipment crashed to the floor. Through the window, June could see a cloud of red dust rising about 2 miles from the outpost. "Medical team to transports," ordered Hyun, the outpost commander. She was a tall woman with short black hair who always kept calm, even now. "We need to check for survivors." June and 2 medical assistants grabbed their emergency kits and climbed into one of the outpost's sand rovers. As they sped toward the crash site, the cloud of dust grew larger. "I can see the ship," said Mina, one of the assistants. "Those markings, I think it's Riken." June felt his mouth go dry. The Riken Empire was powerful and not always friendly to humans. They were tall beings with silver skin who controlled hundreds of planets. Why would a Riken ship be here, on this unimportant mining planet? The rover stopped at the edge of a new crater in the red sand. In the center lay the remains of a sleek silver ship, broken into 3 large pieces. The hull was still smoking. The symbol of the Riken royal family was clearly visible on one broken wing. "Be careful," said Hyun over the radio. "If there are Riken survivors, approach slowly. They might be scared or angry." June jumped out of the rover. The heat hit him like a wall as he ran toward the ship. His job was to save lives no matter who they belonged to. Inside the largest piece of the ship, he found 5 Riken crew members. They were alive but hurt. Their silver skin was cut in places, showing dark blue blood underneath. "Help them," June told his assistants. "I'll check the other parts of the ship." The second piece was empty, but when June reached the 3rd section, he stopped suddenly. Inside was the largest animal he had ever seen. It looked like a huge cat, almost twice the size of an earth tiger. Its fur was a deep purple color that seemed to shine with its own light. The beast had 6 legs instead of 4, and its face had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The creature was barely breathing. A large piece of metal had gone through its side, and dark green blood pooled beneath it. June knew it would die, soon without help. As he moved closer, one of the Riken crew members appeared behind him. She was taller than June by a full head, her silver uniform torn and stained with blue blood. "Stay back, human," she said in perfect English. "That is a Chimera, the sacred guardian of Queen Nari. It is not to be touched by outsiders." "It's dying," June said simply. "I'm a doctor, I can help." The Riken woman's completely black eyes studied him. "I am Captain Yuna. Our ship was escorting Queen Nari when we were attacked. She escaped in a pod, but her Chimera could not fit and was left with us." "Attacked? By whom?" asked June. That is not your concern, Yuna said coldly. The Chimera is dying. This is a great loss for our people. June looked at the beautiful creature again. Its breathing was getting weaker. I can try to save it. Yuna laughed, a sound like small bells. No human has ever treated a Chimera. You do not know our biology. I'm willing to learn, June said. He stepped closer to the beast. One of its 4 eyes opened slightly, a golden color that seemed to glow. The eye fixed on June, and he felt something strange pass through him. It was like the creature was looking into his soul. What is its name? He asked. Yuna hesitated, then answered. Dee, June repeated softly. I'm going to help you. By now, more humans from the outpost had arrived with stretchers. The injured Riken were being carefully moved to the rovers. Commander Hyun, June called. I need the largest transport we have, and I need to set up a special treatment area in the main hangar. The medical bay is too small. Hyun looked at the massive alien cat, then at the Riken captain. Is this allowed? It will die anyway, Yuna said with what sounded like sadness. If your human wishes to try, I will not stop him. But know this. If he does something disrespectful to the Chimera, even in death, your entire outpost will face the anger of the Riken Empire. Hyun nodded slowly. Understood. She turned to June. Are you sure about this? We can't risk a diplomatic incident. June was already checking the metal piece stuck in the creature's side. I'm sure. Get me that transport. And I'll need all our medical supplies. As the humans rushed to follow his orders, June placed a gentle hand on the Chimera's head. Its fur was softer than anything he had ever touched. The beast made a low, rumbling sound, almost like a purr. Hold on, Day, June whispered. I promise I'll save you. He didn't know why this felt so important. He only knew that as a healer, he couldn't let such a magnificent creature die without trying to help. And somewhere deep inside, he felt that this moment would change everything. Neither June nor anyone else at Outpost 37 could have guessed just how right that feeling would prove to be. The main hangar of Outpost 37 had been quickly turned into a medical space. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, shining down on the large purple creature that lay on a specially built platform. Machines beeped around it, showing heart rate and breathing patterns that June was trying to understand. How is it still alive? Asked Mina, one of the medical assistants. She looked at the readings with worry in her eyes. I don't know, said June. He was covered in green blood up to his elbows. For 6 hours he had been working to remove the metal piece from the Chimera's side without causing more damage. But it's fighting hard. Captain Yuna stood at the far wall watching everything with her black eyes. She had not left the hangar since they brought Day in. 3 other Riken crew members sat near her, their injuries now treated. The Chimera are strong, Yuna said. They are bred to protect our royal family, but even their strength has limits. June nodded as he carefully pulled another small piece of metal from the wound. I need to know more about their biology. How do they heal? What medicine can they take? Yuna walked closer. We do not share such information with outsiders, but... She looked at the dying Chimera and something softened in her face. I will tell you what I know, which is not much. I am a ship captain, not a royal caretaker. For the next hour, Yuna told June about the Chimera's 2 hearts, their special blood that fought infection, and their ability to go into a deep sleep to heal. This information was helpful, but not enough. June needed more. Do you have any medical files on your ship's computer? He asked. Some, said Yuna. But they are in our language. I can help with that, said Tae, who had been assisting June. I've been studying Riken language for years. Commander Hyun appeared at the hangar door. She looked tired and worried. June, can I speak with you? June followed her into the hallway, his hands still stained with green blood. This is getting dangerous, Hyun said in a low voice. We received a message from Riken Command. They are sending a battlecruiser to pick up the survivors. And Day? Asked June. They mentioned nothing about the Chimera. I think they assume it's already dead. Hyun rubbed her forehead. If you fail to save it, they might blame us. The Riken have destroyed entire colonies for much less. I'm not going to fail, June said, more confident than he felt. You can't know that, Hyun argued. No human has ever treated one of these creatures before. Then I'll be the first. June turned to go back to the hangar. June, Hyun called after him. The battlecruiser will be here in 3 days. That's all the time you have. 3 days. June looked at his hands. The green blood was starting to dry. 3 days to save a creature he knew almost nothing about. The task felt impossible. But when he returned to the hangar and saw Day's golden eyes watching him, something inside him refused to give up. Tay, he said, get all the information you can from their ship's computer. I need everything about Chimera health, biology, and medicine. For the next day and night, June barely slept. He studied the files Tay brought him, trying to understand the strange language and drawings. He tested small treatments on the Chimera, watching carefully for any reaction. The wound in Day's side was clean now, but it was not healing fast enough. The beast's breathing was shallow and one of its hearts was beating too fast while the other was too slow. It needs medicine we don't have, June told Yuna on the morning of the second day. I've tried everything in our supplies. Then it will die, Yuna said simply, as I told you it would. June shook his head. No, I can make what it needs. He turned to Tay. The Riken files mention a plant that grows in the southern mountains of their home world. It has healing properties for the Chimera. But we don't have that plant here, Tay said. No, but we have something similar that grows near the western ridge. The chemical structure might be close enough. June was already gathering supplies. I need to collect some and try to make medicine from it. That area is dangerous, warned Hyun, who had come to check on their progress. The sandstorms are getting worse. I don't have a choice, June said. Day is running out of time. An hour later, June was in a sand rover heading toward the western ridge. The drive was rough, with strong winds pushing against the vehicle. When he reached the area where the plants grew, he had to put on a breathing mask and special suit to protect against the stinging sand. The plants were hard to find, small blue flowers that grew between rocks. June collected as many as he could, filling his bag quickly. As he worked, the wind grew stronger. The sandstorm was coming faster than expected. By the time he returned to the rover, he could barely see through the swirling red sand. The drive back to the outpost was slow and dangerous. Twice, the rover almost got stuck in shifting sand dunes. When June finally reached the outpost, everyone was relieved to see him. We thought you were lost, said Mina, helping him out of his sand-covered suit. How is Day? June asked immediately. Not good, said Tay. Its heart rates are getting worse. June rushed to his lab with the plants. For hours he worked to extract the right chemicals and create a medicine that might help the Chimera. When he was done, he had a small vial of bright blue liquid. This is either going to help it or kill it faster, he admitted to Yuna as they stood by Day's side. The huge beast was very still now, its breathing barely visible. You have tried your best, Yuna said. No one can say otherwise. June carefully injected the blue liquid into a vein in Day's neck. Then he sat back and waited. For 2 hours, nothing changed. June watched the monitors looking for any sign of improvement, but the numbers stayed the same. The beast didn't move. It was a brave attempt, Yuna said, placing a hand on June's shoulder. June didn't answer. He kept watching, refusing to give up hope. And then, just as the second sun of Tarek was setting, one of the monitors changed its sound. Day's second heart was beating stronger. Then the first heart also improved. The Chimera's breathing deepened. It's working, June whispered, afraid to believe it. One of Day's golden eyes opened slightly. The large pupil focused on June's face. The beast made a low rumbling sound deep in its throat. It recognizes you, Yuna said, sounding surprised. Through that night and into the next day, Day continued to slowly improve. June made more medicine from the plants he had collected, giving the Chimera small doses every few hours. By the evening of the third day, the wound in its side was starting to close on its own. Impossible. whispered Yuna when she saw the healing flesh. No human should have been able to understand our biology well enough to save it. But June had done it. Whether by skill, luck, or a combination of both, he had saved the Queen's Chimera from certain death. As the day ended, June sat next to the large creature, checking its vital signs one more time. They were stable now. Day would live. The beast lifted its massive head and looked at June with all four of its golden eyes. Then it did something unexpected. It moved its head forward and gently pressed it against June's chest, like a house cat, showing affection. "I think it's thanking you," Tay said, watching from nearby. Maybe it was. Or maybe there was more to it than that. June felt something strange when Day touched him, a warm feeling in his mind, like the beginnings of a connection. He couldn't explain. "The Riken battlecruiser will arrive tomorrow morning," Hyun announced from the doorway. "They'll take the crew and the Chimera back." June nodded, but he felt a strange sadness at the thought of Day leaving. In just 3 days, he had grown attached to the magnificent beast. What he didn't know was that events were already in motion that would change everything, not just for him, but for relations between humans and the Riken Empire. The next morning, the sky above Outpost 37 darkened as a massive Riken battlecruiser entered the atmosphere. It was at least 20 times larger than the crashed shuttle. Its silver hull gleamed in the light of the two suns. "They're here, Commander," Hyun said as she walked into the hangar where June was checking on Day. "Are you ready?" June nodded, though he wasn't sure what to expect. The Chimera was now able to stand on its 6 legs, though it still moved slowly. The wound in its side was healing well. Day's 4 golden eyes followed June wherever he went. "Will they take good care of it?" June asked Captain Yuna, who was preparing to meet her people. "The Chimera will receive the best care in the royal palace," she assured him. "You have done well, human. Few of my people would have believed this possible." A message came through the outpost's communication system. Riken command ship requesting permission to land 5 transport shuttles. "Permission granted," Hyun replied, then turned to June. "They're sending 5 shuttles just to pick up 4 crew members and 1 animal. That seems excessive." "The Queen must be worried about her pet," June said. Yuna overheard them and laughed softly. "The Chimera is not a pet, human. It is a sacred guardian of the royal bloodline, and I suspect the extra shuttles are not just for us." Her words proved true 30 minutes later when the shuttles landed outside the outpost. From the main shuttle emerged a group of Riken dressed in elaborate silver and purple uniforms. They were clearly high-ranking officials. "Commander Hyun," said the leader, a tall female Riken with decorative patterns carved into her silver skin. "I am Royal Advisor Jin. I bring greetings from Her Majesty, Queen Nari, of the Riken Empire." "Welcome to Outpost 37, Hyun said with a formal bow. "We are honored by your visit." "Where is the human who saved the Queen's Chimera?" Jin asked, looking around at the gathered outpost staff. June stepped forward. "I am Dr. June." All the Riken officials turned to stare at him. Their black eyes showed no emotion, but June felt like they were judging him. "Her Majesty wishes to thank you personally," Jin said. "You are summoned to the royal ship immediately." A murmur ran through the humans. No one had expected this. "Is that an order or a request?" asked Hyun carefully. "It is a great honor," replied Jin, "one rarely given to humans." June looked at Hyun, who nodded slightly. "I would be happy to meet the Queen," he said to Jin. "Good. Prepare yourself quickly. We leave in 1 hour." As the Riken officials went to speak with Yuna and her crew, Hyun pulled June aside. "This could be dangerous," she warned. "The Riken court is known for complex politics and hidden dangers. One wrong word, and you could offend someone important." "What should I do?" June asked. "Be respectful. Don't speak unless spoken to. And come back in one piece." Hyun gave his shoulder a squeeze. "We need our head doctor." June went to his quarters to clean up and put on his best uniform. His hands shook slightly as he prepared. Meeting an alien, Queen was not something he had ever expected to do during his time on Terek. When he returned to the hangar, he found the Riken officials preparing Day for transport. They had a special harness to help the still weak creature walk. "Is the Chimera well enough to travel?" Jin asked June. "Yes, but it should not be stressed or forced to move quickly," June replied. Jin nodded. "We will be careful." As they led Day toward the exit, something unexpected happened. The large purple beast stopped moving and turned its head to look back at June. Then, with a surprising burst of speed, it broke away from its handlers and limped to June's side. "What is happening?" asked Jin, sounding alarmed. June reached up to touch Day's head. The Chimera made a deep rumbling sound, almost like a purr. "I think it wants me to come with it," June said. Captain Yuna stepped forward. "This is unusual. Chimera are loyal to the royal family, not to outsiders. Perhaps it senses that Dr. June saved its life," suggested Jin. "In any case, Her Majesty is waiting. The human will come with us anyway." The journey to the Riken battlecruiser took only 15 minutes. June sat in the shuttle next to Day, who seemed calmer with him nearby. Through the window, June watched as they approached the massive ship. "It's bigger than our entire outpost," he whispered to himself. When they docked, June was led through long hallways made of a strange metal that seemed to change color as they walked. Everything was larger than in human buildings, designed for the taller Riken. "You will now meet Queen Nari," Jin told him as they stopped before a huge door decorated with symbols. "Bow when you enter. Do not speak unless she asks you a direct question." The doors opened to reveal the largest room June had ever seen. It was a circular chamber with a high ceiling that seemed to show the stars outside, though June knew they were still inside the ship. In the center was a raised platform with a silver throne, and on that throne sat a young Riken woman. Queen Nari was not what June had expected. She looked younger than many of her officials, perhaps only in her mid-20s, by human standards. Her silver skin was smooth and unmarked by the decorative patterns the older Riken wore. Her black eyes seemed larger, more expressive. "Dr. June of Earth," announced Jin, "the human who saved your Chimera." June bowed low, remembering Hyun's warnings. "Approach," said the queen. Her voice was musical but held power. June walked forward until he stood at the base of the platform. Day, who had been following behind, moved past him and climbed the steps to the queen's side. Queen Nari placed a hand on the Chimera's head. "You have done what many thought impossible," she said to June. "My beloved Day would have died without your care." "I am a doctor," June replied simply. "I help those who need it." The queen studied him with her black eyes. Few humans would risk so much for a creature not of their world. Day is a living being. That's all that matters. A small smile appeared on the queen's face. "Well said, Dr. June. The Riken Empire owes you a debt." Before June could respond, a commotion erupted at the entrance to the chamber. A group of Riken nobles entered, led by a male who wore more decorations than even Jin. He walked with confidence. "And power, Your Majesty," he said, ignoring proper greetings. "I bring disturbing news." "Cousin Minho," the queen said, her voice cooling. "You interrupt a royal audience." "This cannot wait," Minho insisted. "We have proof that the human used forbidden techniques to heal the Chimera." A hush fell over the chamber. Queen Nari's face became serious. "Explain." Minho gestured, and one of his followers stepped forward with a small device. "We analyzed the Chimera's blood. It contains traces of compounds similar to those banned by Sacred Law 247. The human has defiled the royal guardian." All eyes turned to June, who stood confused. He had no idea what they were talking about. "Is this true?" the queen asked him. "I used medicine I made from local plants," June said. "I don't know anything about your sacred laws." "Ignorance is not an excuse," Minho said harshly. "The law is clear. Anyone who uses forbidden techniques on a sacred Chimera must be executed." The word executed echoed in the chamber. June felt a cold fear grow in his stomach. "Guards," Minho called. "Arrest the human." Two armed Riken moved toward June. He stood frozen, unsure what to do. But before they could reach him, a loud roar shook the entire chamber. Day, still weak from its injuries, leaped down from the platform and placed itself between June and the approaching guards. The Chimora's fur stood on end, making it look even larger. All four of its golden eyes glowed with anger. Everyone in the chamber stood still, shocked by the beast's reaction. "Interesting," said Queen Nari, rising from her throne. "My Chimora seems to disagree with you, cousin." "The creature is confused," Minho argued. "The human's techniques have affected its mind." "Or perhaps," the Queen suggested, "Day senses something about this situation that we do not." She turned to Jin. "Take Dr. June to guest quarters. We will investigate these accusations properly before making any decisions." "But Your Majesty," Minho began. "That is all, cousin," the Queen said firmly. As Jin led June from the chamber, he looked back to see Day watching him. The beast made a move to follow, but the Queen called it back. Reluctantly, the Chimora returned to her side. "What just happened?" June asked Jin when they were in the hallway. "Politics," the advisor replied. "You have become a piece in a game. You don't understand, human, and I'm afraid your life now hangs in the balance." The guest quarters assigned to June were large and beautiful. The walls seemed to be made of a shimmering metal that changed colors with the light. The bed was 3 times the size of his bunk back at the outpost, but June felt like a prisoner, not a guest. 2 Riken guards stood outside his door. They were polite but firm when he asked to leave. "For your safety," they said, "please remain in your quarters until Her Majesty calls for you." June paced the room, trying to understand what had happened. What were these forbidden techniques Minho had accused him of using? Why would saving Day's life be against Riken law? "This makes no sense," he muttered to himself. As night fell, or what passed for night on a spaceship, June noticed something strange. There was a small device hidden in the corner of the ceiling. It looked like a tiny glass eye. A camera, he realized. Someone was watching him. Then he found another one behind a decorative panel, and another near the bed. His room was full of them. "They don't trust me," he said aloud, then quickly fell silent. If they could see him, they could probably hear him too. June sat on the bed, trying to think of what to do. He closed his eyes, feeling tired and alone. But as he sat there in silence, something unexpected happened. He felt a warm presence in his mind, like a gentle touch. An image formed in his thoughts. Day, looking at him through the bars of a cage. The Chimora was being held somewhere on the ship. June could feel its frustration and worry. "Day," he whispered, amazed. "Can you hear me?" The feeling grew stronger. Somehow the bond they had formed while he treated the beast's wounds had created a connection between them. Not exactly telepathy, but something similar. Through this strange link, June sensed danger. Day was trying to warn him about something, or someone. The image of Minho kept appearing in his mind, along with a feeling of deep distrust. "He's lying about something," June realized. "But what can I do from here?" As if in answer, he felt Day's presence grow excited. An image appeared in his mind. The door to his quarters opening, the guards gone. "You want to help me escape?" June asked quietly. "But how? You're caged too." Before he could get an answer, a soft chime sounded at his door. Royal Advisor Jin entered, looking serious. "Dr. June," she said, "the investigation of Minho's claims continues. The Queen requests your presence at another hearing tomorrow." "What exactly am I accused of?" June asked. Jin hesitated. "Sacred Law 247 forbids using certain compounds on the Royal Chimora. These compounds can create unnatural bonds between the beast and others besides the royal family." "I didn't know any of this," June said. "I just used what I had available to save Day's life." "That may be true," Jin said. "But Minho has powerful allies. The Queen can only protect you so much without proof of your innocence." After Jin left, June felt more trapped than ever. But as he sat worrying, the mental connection with Day suddenly returned, stronger than before. Images flashed in his mind, a plan. First, a distraction in another part of the ship, then guards leaving their posts. a path through the corridors to a specific room. "You want me to go somewhere?" June whispered. "But where?" The answer came as a clear image. A room full of computers and records. The engineering section of the ship. June understood. If Minho was lying, there might be evidence in the ship's records. But he would need to find a way out of his room first. He didn't have to wait long. In the middle of the night, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. June heard running footsteps outside his door. The guards were speaking urgently to someone. "Containment breach in Section 7, one said. All security personnel report immediately." June pressed his ear to the door. He heard the guards running away. This was his chance. Carefully, he opened the door and peeked out. The corridor was empty. Following the mental map Day had shown him, June made his way through the huge ship. Twice, he had to hide from passing crew members. Once, he almost ran into a group of nobles. But somehow, he knew exactly when to hide and when to move, as if Day was guiding him from afar. Finally, he reached the engineering section. It was nearly empty, with most crew members responding to the alarm. Only one young Riken technician remained, and she was asleep at her post. June slipped past her to the main computer terminal. He had no idea how to use Riken technology, but, again, Day's guidance filled his mind. His hands seemed to move on their own, pressing symbols on the glowing screen. Files and records appeared, most in the Riken language. But June saw dates and times and recognized the registration number of the Queen's shuttle, the one that had crashed on Tarek. Digging deeper, he found maintenance records and flight plans. And then, hidden under security codes that Day somehow helped him bypass, he found something shocking. The shuttle's engine failure had not been an accident. Someone had tampered with the fuel cells, ensuring they would fail once the shuttle reached a certain distance from the battlecruiser. It was sabotage, June whispered. He kept searching and found more evidence. Communications between Minho and unknown conspirators. Plans to eliminate both obstacles during the diplomatic mission, the obstacles being Queen Nari and her protective Chimera. It had been an assassination attempt. Minho had tried to kill the Queen, hoping to take the throne for himself. June quickly copied the evidence to a small data device he found. As he finished, he sensed alarm through his connection with Day. Someone was coming. He hid behind a large piece of equipment just as Minho himself entered with 2 guards. "The human escaped during the alarm," Minho was saying. "Find him immediately. If he's found here, kill him on sight. We can claim he was stealing military secrets." "Yes, my lord," the guards replied. June held his breath as they searched the room. The sleeping technician woke up, confused by the commotion. "You," Minho shouted at her. "Did you see a human here?" No, my lord," she stammered. "I was monitoring the systems." Minho slapped her hard across the face. "You were sleeping, fool. If the human has accessed these computers, your life is forfeit." The cruelty of the act made June's blood boil, but he remained hidden until Minho and the guards left to search elsewhere. The young technician was crying silently, touching her face where Minho had struck her. June made a decision. He stepped out from his hiding place. The technician gasped, in fear. "Please," June said quickly, holding up his hands. "I won't hurt you. I need help." "You're the human everyone is looking for," she said. "The one who saved the Queen's Chimera." "Yes," June said. "And I just found proof that Minho tried to kill the Queen. That's why he wants me dead." The technician looked at the data device in June's hand, then at the door where Minho had just left. "I never liked him," she said. "He treats us all like dirt. What do you need?" "I need to get to the Queen," June said. "Or at least to someone who can help me reach her." The technician nodded. "I know a way through the maintenance tunnels. They lead near the royal quarters, but you'll need a distraction to get past the guards there." "I think I have a friend who can help with that," June said, thinking of Day. As they prepared to leave, June felt Day's presence in his mind again. The Chimera was proud of him, but there was also urgency. They needed to hurry. Minho was planning something desperate now that June had escaped. The race to save the Queen had begun. My name is Sarah, the young Riken technician whispered as she led June through narrow maintenance tunnels. These hidden passages ran behind the main corridors of the Royal Battlecruiser. Thank you for helping me, Sarah, June said. They had to. Crawl in some places where the tunnel became too small for walking. Minho has always been cruel, Sarah said. Many of us lower-rank Rikens suffer under his command, but no one dares speak against him. The tunnels were hot and poorly lit. June's human eyes struggled to see in the dim light, but Sarah moved confidently ahead. Her silver skin seemed to glow faintly, helping him follow her. How much further? He asked, after what felt like an hour of crawling and climbing. We're close to the royal quarters now, Sarah replied, but there's a problem. There are no maintenance exits there. The area is too secure. June stopped to catch his breath. Then how do we get in? There's a service door that leads to a supply room near the Queen's private meeting chamber, but it will be guarded. June closed his eyes, trying to reconnect with day. The mental link had been fading in and out as they moved through the ship. Now he concentrated hard, calling out with his mind. After a moment, he felt the warm presence return. Day was awake and alert. June sent images of their location and their need for a distraction. My friend will help us, he told Sarah. We just need to wait for the right moment. They reached the service door and pressed their ears against it. They could hear guards talking on the other side. Double the patrol around Her Majesty's chambers, one guard was saying. Lord Minho believes the human intruder may attempt to reach her. He's not wrong, June whispered to Sarah, but not for the reasons he thinks. They waited in silence. Then suddenly, a tremendous roar echoed through the ship. The sound was so loud that June could feel it vibrating in his chest. That's Day, he exclaimed. Shouts and running footsteps followed the roar. The guards outside the door were moving away, rushing toward the source of the commotion. Now, Sarah said, pushing the door open. They emerged into a storage room filled with cleaning supplies and fresh linens for the royal quarters. The corridor outside was empty, all guards having responded to Day's distraction. The Queen's meeting chamber is this way, Sarah said, pointing left. They moved quickly down the corridor. June clutched the data device with the evidence against Minho tightly in his hand. If they could just reach the Queen. But as they turned a corner, they came face to face with two of Minho's personal guards. The Riken soldiers immediately drew their weapons. Halt, one shouted. Human intruder, run, June yelled to Sarah, pushing her back. But more guards appeared behind them. They were trapped. The guards seized them roughly. One struck June in the stomach, causing him to double over in pain. Lord Minho will be pleased, said the guard holding June. Take them to the detention area. But they never reached the detention area. Instead, the guards took them directly to a large chamber June hadn't seen before. It looked like a courtroom, with a raised platform at one end and rows of seats facing it. The room was already filled with Riken nobles and officials. Queen Nari sat on a throne-like chair on the platform, her face serious and unreadable. Toi. Her right stood Royal Advisor Jin, looking worried, and to her left stood Minho, a triumphant smile on his face. Your Majesty, Minho announced loudly as June and Sarah were dragged in. The human has been captured attempting to infiltrate the royal quarters, and this technician was helping him. They are both spies and traitors. Queen Nari's black eyes studied June carefully. Dr. June, you were told to remain in your quarters. Why did you disobey? June tried to step forward, but the guards held him firmly. Your Majesty, I found evidence. Silence, Minho interrupted. This human cannot be trusted. He has already violated our sacred laws by corrupting your Chimera. Now he attempts to approach you directly, no doubt with harmful intent. Let him speak, the Queen said quietly. Your Majesty, Minho protested. The laws regarding human prisoners are clear. He must be executed immediately for— I said let him speak, Queen Nari repeated, her voice now hard as steel. The entire room fell silent. June took a deep breath. Your Majesty, Lord Minho arranged the sabotage of your shuttle. It was an Assassination attempt. I found the evidence in the ship's engineering records. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. Minho's face darkened with rage. Lies, he shouted. This human makes wild accusations to save himself. I have proof, June said, trying to reach the data device in his pocket. But the guards held his arms. Search him, the Queen ordered. One guard found the device and brought it to her. Minho stepped forward quickly. Allow me to examine it first, Your Majesty. It may contain human viruses designed to harm our systems. But before the Queen could respond, the doors to the chamber burst open. Day charged in, roaring with fury. The huge purple beast had broken, free from wherever it had been held. Guards moved to intercept the Chimera, but Day was too fast. It leaped over them and bounded directly to June's side. The guards holding June backed away in fear as the beast stood beside him protectively. Fascinating, murmured Queen Nari, watching the scene unfold. My Chimera has indeed formed a bond with you, human. Because he used forbidden techniques, Minho insisted. The beast's mind has been corrupted. No, June said firmly. Day and I connected because we both want the same thing, to protect you, Your Majesty. The Chimera sensed Minho's treachery, just as I discovered it in the ship's records. The Queen looked at the data device in her hand, then at Minho, whose face was now showing signs of panic. These are serious accusations, Lord Minho, she said. If they are false, the human will pay with his life. But if they are true, they cannot be true, Minho said desperately. This is a human trick. The data is false. There is a simple way to determine the truth, said Royal Advisor Jin, speaking for the first time. The Chimera can show you. Your Majesty. All eyes turned to Day. The Chimera stood tall, its 4 golden eyes fixed on the Queen. Yes, Queen Nari said. Come, Day. The Chimera approached the throne. Minho tried to step between them, but Day growled so fiercely that he backed away. The Queen placed her hand on Day's head, closing her eyes. The chamber was completely silent as everyone watched this sacred connection. Through the mental link he still shared with Day, June could sense what was happening. The Chimera was sharing everything. June's efforts to save its life, their growing bond, and most importantly, the evidence they had found of Minho's treachery. After a long moment, the Queen opened her eyes. They were cold with anger. Guards, she said calmly. Arrest, Lord Minho immediately. What? No, Minho shouted, backing away. This is a mistake. The human has somehow corrupted the Chimera's mind. The Chimera cannot lie through the royal bond, Queen Nari said, standing. It has shown me the truth. You arranged the sabotage of my shuttle. You intended both Day and me to die on that remote planet. I am your cousin, your closest advisor, Minho protested as guards surrounded him. And you would have been my murderer, the Queen replied. Take him away. Minho tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. As the guard seized him, he looked at June with pure hatred. This isn't over, human, he hissed before being dragged from the chamber. With Minho gone, the Queen turned to June. Release him, she ordered the remaining guards, and the technician as well. Free from the guard's grip, June approached the throne and bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Majesty. No, Dr. June, Queen Nari said. It is I who must thank you. You saved Day's life when no one thought it possible. And now you have saved mine as well by uncovering this plot. Day moved to stand between them, its massive head turning from the Queen to June and back again. Through their connection, June could feel the Chimera's happiness that the two beings it cared about most were now safe. What will happen now? June asked. You will be honored, the Queen said. The highest civilian award of the Riken Empire will be yours, and more. She paused, studying him thoughtfully. You have shown remarkable skill and courage. The position of Royal Xenobiologist has been vacant for some time. I would offer it to you, if you wish to accept. June was stunned. A position in the royal court of the most powerful empire in the galaxy? It was beyond anything he had ever imagined for himself. I'm honored, Your Majesty, he said. But I would have one condition. The Queen raised an eyebrow. And what is that? June placed a hand on Day's purple fur. That Day and I remain together. Our bond has become important to me. Queen Nari smiled, a rare sight from a Riken. The bond between you is unprecedented in our history. The Kaimora are sacred guardians of the royal family. Never before has one chosen a human. She reached out to touch Day as well. But I can see that Day has indeed chosen you. It would be cruel to separate you now. Then I accept your offer, June said, bowing again. Later that night, in new quarters far more luxurious than the ones he'd escaped from, June sat beside Day. The massive creature was curled comfortably on a special bed built to accommodate its six-limbed body. Everything is changing so fast, June said aloud. Just a week ago I was treating minor injuries at a mining outpost. Now I'm going to be a royal advisor on a Riken battlecruiser. Day made a rumbling sound that June had come to recognize as affection. Through their bond he felt reassurance. No matter what happened, they